Sometimes the worst part isn't the miss. It's the not now moment. I thought I was gonna make it. Then I realized it was too late. That's how it was. We're working hard to reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Every click matters more than you think. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Don't miss what really matters. My name is Dan. I was 34 at the time. I worked at an agency. Project manager. Not senior, not junior. Just a manager. The usual routine, calls, meetings, reports. Nothing special. And maybe that's exactly what was killing me. Slowly but surely. I wasn't complaining. I had a job. I had a paycheck. Colleagues. Clients. Friday dinners. But sometimes, in the middle of all this, a feeling would wash over me. Is this really my life? On one of those ordinary days, I was sitting in the office. It was around 8:30 a.m. I'd come in early to finish up a couple of tasks. Made coffee. Opened my email. And saw that email. From whom? I didn't understand at first. The address was unfamiliar. The subject line just said, Project Collaboration Opportunity. I clicked. The email opened, but immediately a Slack notification popped up. Dan, can you get a summary ready by 10? I switched over. Replied. Then someone else messaged. The usual workflow began. The email I left for later. I even remember telling myself, I'll handle the urgent stuff first, then I'll look at it. Whatever this collaboration thing is, it's probably nothing anyway, or spam. And the day took off. Coffee, call, spreadsheets, discussions, lunch, another urgent task. Dan, can I grab you for a minute? Free reports. Where's that presentation? That evening, at 7:30, I closed my laptop. Didn't check my email. I was tired. Wanted to go home. I'll look at that email tomorrow, the thought crossed my mind. 2 days passed. Then it was the weekend. Monday I came in, and there was already a lot of email. The collaboration email had sunk to the very bottom. I saw its subject line. Every time. But every time I thought, first, current stuff. First, important stuff. Then later. And that's when I first felt a strange pang inside. As if someone whispered, are you sure this isn't important? But I brushed it off. I had work to do. I had deadlines. And the email. Well, what email could really change anything? Sometimes the most terrifying mistake isn't a misstep. It's the moment of, not now. Several days passed. I didn't think about the email. Too much routine. Too much important stuff. Too much familiar. When you live in that mode, no day looks like another, but inside everything's the same. Morning, office, coffee, email, calls, Slack, lunch, and more calls. Then evening, traffic, phone in hand, tired. How was your day? At home, and around again. In those days I didn't really think about the future. Didn't make plans, just lived, as if this was temporary. As if later there would be something truly important. Then there was a conversation with a colleague. Completely random. Friday, after the team meeting, David and I were standing by the coffee machine. He said, you know Nathan left, right? What do you mean? Well, he got an offer. Says it was completely random. Someone emailed him. New project. You know, a startup with funding. They're putting together a team. I remember something jumping inside me. The email. That email. Suddenly it popped into my head. I don't even know why then, at that exact moment, I remembered it. Maybe because David was saying, got an offer. Maybe because I'd been feeling stuck for a long time. All this time I'd been living with the thought, I'll get to it later. And suddenly I realized, what if that email wasn't just spam? What if it was a chance? That evening I came home earlier than usual. Opened my laptop, logged into email, found that email, scrolled down. There was a signature, lead recruiter. Project Arcadia. I hadn't heard of it. I opened their website. The project was real. Public, with real people. Everything inside me tensed up. I reread the email. Then again. It simply said, good day, Dan. We've looked at your recent projects, especially X and Y. We'd like to offer you the opportunity to discuss joining our startup in the role of project lead. The project launches in the next 3 months. We're currently forming the first team. If you're interested, please let us know within a week so we can discuss details. Thank you for your time. I looked at the date. The email had arrived 9 days ago. And then, For the first time in a long while, I felt fear. Not about a task, not about a deadline, fear that I had just missed something that could have really changed everything. I sat in front of the screen. The room was quiet, only the electronic alarm clock was ticking. 9 days. Well, maybe it's not too late? Maybe they're still waiting? I quickly started typing a response. Hello, sorry for the delay, just got to your email. Very interested, ready to discuss. My finger froze over the send button. Something inside told me, check their website. I opened their page. In the team section, several new names had already appeared. Photos, descriptions, and among them, Nathan's name. The same one David had mentioned. I felt something clench inside. Not just unpleasant, but the way it feels when you really understand, you slept through something important. But I still pressed send. Maybe foolish, maybe too late, but worse, not to try at all. An hour passed, then 2. No one replied. I couldn't sleep that night. Every 10 minutes I checked my email. Nothing. The next day, at lunch, that project came up again. Someone said, they've almost assembled their team. They say it's going to be a top-tier team, with tons of flexible conditions, remote work, stock options, decent money. You could quit right now. And at that moment it hit me. This was it, that chance I'd been dreaming about a year ago. Getting out of the routine. Doing something real. Growing. And now, it's over. Simply because I told myself then, not now. That evening I checked my email again. No response. I opened LinkedIn. The recruiter who had written to me was no longer recruiting. Hiring closed. On the project website, a new post, thanks to everyone for your responses. The first team has been formed. Launch, coming soon. I stared at the screen. And understood. I hadn't lost to someone else. I had lost to myself. Not because I was worse. Not because I wasn't qualified. Not because I couldn't do it. But because I simply didn't open the email. Didn't respond. Didn't choose. Thousands of thoughts in my head. Why didn't I take 5 minutes then? Why did I think such emails come often? Why did I put everything off, as always? I replayed day after day in my head. Remembered how I told myself, later. I'll get to it. As if there's always later. As if there will always be another chance. But here it was. And it was gone. And the most painful thing, it's not that I lost a new job. Not that Nathan left and I stayed. The most painful thing is that I now knew, when you're afraid to take a step, life won't wait. I sat in the kitchen with my laptop, an empty cup, and one thought. I did this to myself. I didn't give myself a chance. A week passed, then 2. On the outside, everything was as usual. Work, reports, coffee, Friday jokes. Colleagues discussed new tasks, someone was going on vacation, someone was going to interviews. And inside me, everything revolved around one thing. That email, that, not now, that most ordinary moment that turned everything upside down. At first I tried to convince myself, so what? It wasn't meant to be. There will be other offers. But then I increasingly caught myself thinking, what if there won't be? What if that was the chance? The only one? With each day this feeling grew stronger. Not just being angry at myself. Not just frustration, emptiness, like you slammed a door in your own face. And now you're standing, looking at it, closed. And you know, it won't open again. I started looking at people around me differently. At those who took risks. Who responded, who moved forward, and at those, like me, who constantly told themselves, later. Not now, not the right time. I suddenly started noticing how often I said this. At work, I'll respond to the client later. In life, I'll call mom later. I'll get to Spanish later. I'll think about what I want from this life later. And with each such later, it became scarier. Because I saw how this later was, not something small, but a system. A habit, a way to not make a choice. One evening, I was sitting with my laptop. Started looking at job postings. Nothing special. Scrolling, as usual. And suddenly, I came across another invitation. A new one. Not as cool. Not from Arcadia. But also, an interesting project. And you know what I did? Closed the tab. Caught myself thinking, it's late now. I'll look more carefully tomorrow morning. And then it hit me. This is the same thing. The same, not now. I sat there looking at the closed tab. And everything inside went cold. Because I suddenly understood, if I don't stop myself, I'll do this again. And again. And again. And this isn't about the email anymore. Not about work. This is about my life. How much is lost not because it didn't work out, but because I simply didn't dare. I thought, what if I had responded that same day? Within an hour? Just opened it and wrote back? Where would I be now? With whom? Where? Who would I be? But there was no answer. Because you can't rewrite the past. It remains, like a splinter. Like a shadow. The scariest thing isn't a mistake. The scariest thing is realizing you didn't do something. That you didn't try. And now you'll never know. A month passed. On the outside, nothing changed. Same work. Same faces. Same morning coffee. But inside, everything changed. I started noticing all my not nows. Every little thing. Message from a friend, I'll reply later. Event invitation, I'll look at it later. Call from parents, not in the mood today. And behind each of these laters, I heard an echo of that email. Of that moment when I decided, I still have time. But time doesn't wait. And no one waits. Even you yourself won't wait for yourself. One evening I was sitting in the kitchen. On the table, a cup of tea. On my phone, a new email. Completely ordinary, a side project. Small, not top tier. I looked at the screen. And again heard in my head, I'll look at it later. I'm not in the mood right now. But this time something inside clenched. I remembered that week. That evening when I sent the email too late. That emptiness. That feeling. That you cut off your own path. And this time I replied. Right away. Just briefly. Without long deliberation. Not because it was important. Not because it was a new chance. But because I no longer wanted to live in a world of not now. I realized that this is exactly what kills. Not defeats. Not failures. Not other people's victories. But your own laters. How many such laters have already built up into a wall? How many more am I ready to stack up? We often think there's time. That everything can be done someday. That the email won't go anywhere. That people will wait. That the world will give us another chance. But no, it doesn't. Life moves fast. Faster than it seems. I never found out how my story with that project would have unfolded. Never found out who I would be now. But I know one thing. All of this was in my hands. And it left, only because I chose not now. Since then I try to say, now. Not perfectly, not ready, but simply, now. Because life isn't between success and failure. It's between not now and too late. He didn't lose because he wasn't qualified. He didn't lose because he was worse. He lost because he chose later. Micro moments. 1 second, to open or close an email. 1 thought, to reply or postpone. 1 choice, to take a step or stay put. We're afraid of mistakes. But more often what breaks us isn't what we did, but what we didn't do. How many chances disappear because someone thinks, I'll get to it later. If you're holding something important in your head right now, don't wait. Reply, call, write, because not now too often turns into too late.